who would be pitching forward their ideas. There would also be two speakers joining us virtually via Zoom. Mr. Arun Agrawal, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, Janitri Innovations Private Limited, and Mr. Milind Chaudhary, Chief Executive Officer, We Innovate Biosolutions Private Limited. Presentation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ajoy Joseph. I am the CEO of Ajosha Biotechnic Private Limited from Mumbai. So I'm going to take you through what we do, what is my company about, and what's the future scope of my company. So we at Ajosha Biotechnic Private Limited are a one-stop solution for all rapid diagnostic kit accessories as well as laboratory consumables. It's a 3-decade-old organization which caters to most of the leading global diagnostic kit manufacturing companies, research institutes, pathology labs, hospitals, and so on. We are a WHO GMP certified company. We are an ISO 13485, 9001, 2015 certified, and our products are CE certified. We primarily focus on continuous innovation, which has been driving this organization for the last 30 years or so. So empowering good health through our consumables that we supply to the hospitals, to the medical device manufacturer is our primary motto. So why Ajosha? Designing, developing, production and supply, everything is in-house. Right from the concept development to the final stage supplies. We cater to the whole bunch of ideas. We are a quality alternative to import substitutes. Yesterday, Dr. Sharma had a point that India primarily is a net importer. And we at Ajosha, this company was formed with an idea that we should supply good quality import substitutes. And that's how this company was formed. So continuously striving for excellence and achieving quality standards. Our specialization is new product development, in terms of development of consumables. We understand a customer's requirement, we sit with them, we design the product for them, and we provide feasible, cost-effective solutions which helps them. So this is our basic product portfolio. We've categorically divided into two, which is rapid diagnostic kit accessories, and the other one is lab consumables. So what you have in rapid accessories, these are primarily components like cassettes, which are used for reading your diagnostic results. You have transfer pipettes, which are basically used for intake and dispensing of blood sample or urine samples. We have buffer bottles wherein you store your buffer and the buffer is added to your tests. Other than that, we have lab consumables, like your blood collection tubes, your biochemistry analyzer cups, and so on. So if you see, this is our whole list of worldwide clientele that we cater to. The who's who, the heroes of the diagnostic industry, we work for them. You have companies based in India who have been there for the last couple of years who are the leaders in the diagnostic industry. We also export to a lot of companies outside. So USA primarily is our main market. We work with many companies who are into the WHO tenders, the Clinton Foundation, USAID, and so on. And also, I'm happy to tell you that there are a lot of companies within AMTZ who are into diagnostics whom we work with. These are some of the hospitals and diagnostic centers across India. You name it, SRL, Metropolis, so on, everyone works with us. Just a brief images of our products. I would specifically like to talk about the COVID accessories. We were the first company in India to develop the components which were used for all this COVID antibody and antigen tests. Primarily, if you remember, way back last year in 2020 when COVID, the outbreak started, there were primarily only 2 companies in India who got the licensing for the antigen test. So we were the company who helped MyLab, we were the company who helped SD Biosensor to achieve these products. So and there were no designs. The concept was developed with us. We sat with them. We did primarily validation testing and all. So we all have all this, the nasopharyngeal swabs, the oral swabs, the home test kit, which is predominant right at this point of time, and so on. So Our core strength is design and development. So product development it's not just a basic work of art, it needs precision. We have our own team of engineers who design the concepts. We ourselves are engineers. So the experience that we've garnered for the last 30 years help us to develop a new product concept development. So it's a stage gate process. So how does it work? We sit with the companies. So if they have a sample, we develop as per the sample. If they don't have a sample, we design the sample for them. We understand what are the basic characteristics needed for a product, and we write from a prototype to the final multi-cavity molds, and the supply happens through us. So we have our in-house tooling machines, the latest VMC machines, the sparking machines, and so on. So what all we have in our manufacturing base? We have totally 3 factories. We are based in, so 2 factories are in Mumbai. Our state-of-the-art facilities at a place called Daman. So we have the latest injection molding machines, extrusion machines, blow molding machines. We have robotic systems for packaging as well as for intake and dispensing. These are some of the facility photos. This is some of the international exhibitions that we participate with some of the reputed clients. BD is one of our clients. So just a brief overview of the medical devices. As you've seen, India is the 4th largest market for medical devices in Asia. So this market is expected to reach about 50 billion by 2025. So globally, the medical device market is expected to be about USD 766 billion by the year of 2025. So the segment that we specifically cater to, the rapid diagnostic, which is a very niche segment that we cater to, because you'll have a lot of companies who are manufacturing consumables, but there's only few companies like us who are specifically in the rapid diagnostic and specifically catering to all the consumables. So the future scope of our company. We expect to have a clean room setup so that we can make DNAs and RNAs free consumables which can be exported to the markets. To focus on specific laboratory consumables for research purposes, like you have the filter tips, you have the carbon tips for different machines. And also to do a backward integration and develop diagnostic products for the IVD market. The challenges that we face. So it's always the competition for the consumables is from China. So you have Chinese products which are supplied at the basic raw material cost that we get in. So there's no there's no category, there's no sector which helps a medical consumable manufacturer like us to help compete with Chinese at some times. Also, as you've seen, the petroleum products keep rising, and so is the scarcity of the raw material which happens. Because of that, the raw material manufacturers jacks up their prices. So there's a volatile price fluctuations in this case. But still, we have survived for the last 30 years. We will continue to develop innovative consumables for the market. And as Dr. Sharma yesterday said, his vision is to have medical zone which is like a rainbow to India. So we would like to be one of the colors of the rainbow to India here and make good quality products and supply to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation on your services. And up next is a presentation by Mr. Venkat Yechuri, Chief Executive Officer, Salsit Technologies Private Limited. I missed to introduce, we would also have an introduction to Telehealth Device Registry by Mr. S. Madhav Sai, Digital Health India Association, as part of this session.
So how do I get to my... Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yeah. So this is homecoming for me. Vizag is my hometown, so I haven't been living here for a long while, but it's good to be home. And the product we have is called Swasa, that's what we call it, and we call it Respiratory Health Unbound. It's basically, think of it as what ECG is to heart diagnostics, Swasa or spirometry is to lung diagnostics. That's really what you're talking about. And also to give you another analogy, so what Apple Watch has done with the ECG, which is it's taken it out of the confines of a lab, we have done the same thing with lung assessments. We've made it ubiquitous, available anywhere, anytime, right? So that's really what our this thing is. So this has been, this product has been 5 years in the making. So I like to say that, we are the Google Photos for cough sound. So our input is a cough sound, our output is essentially a lung assessment. So that's really what we do, right? So we're currently authorized for use in India as a medical device, and we've got, we've had lots of support from Government of India in the form of various grants. And that's how the product was developed. So the problem we're trying to deal with is fairly large. It's just not, it doesn't get as much press because it's not as sexy. It's, person dying of a heart attack is dramatic. A person suffering from lung disease and dying is not. It's just slow degradation over a long period of time, and so that's not as dramatic, so it doesn't get as much attention. However, if you look at it, it exactly is the same kind of statistics. People who are the cause of death, so on and so forth. The numbers are very, very similar, right? So what is it that we're trying to do, right? So when I say respiratory health unbound, what we're basically saying is, just like in the case of ECG, traditional spirometry and the other lung assessment methods are bound by location. You have to show up in a lab, you have to have an appointment, you need the specialized expensive equipment, and of course you need a really trained technician. Any one of these four things goes missing, you got nothing, right? So nothing can happen. So we are basically saying we unbind lung assessments from all of these things. So given that it's complex, all the stars need to line up, and it's expensive. In India, it's anywhere between 300 to 1,500 rupees a pop, and elsewhere in the world, it can be as high as $1,200 to $1,500 per test, right? So it's complex, it's expensive, so it's rarely used. So it's used very, very sparingly. So, think of the old days when you did not have, let's say, glucose monitors at home, you did not have blood pressure monitors at home, so the only time you got an assessment done is when you showed up at a doctor's. And it's far worse in the case of lung assessments because of the expense and so on, they probably send you once every 2 years, after they've established that you have a problem, right? So in a nutshell, if I were to use one slide to capture what we do, this is what we do, right? So we have a device, essentially we are software as a medical device, that can be used by anyone, anywhere. No need for any kind of hardware, right? So you basically need a recording device. It can be a phone, tablet, your laptop, any one of those things, no problem. We give you results in near real time, and it's super inexpensive and essentially infinitely scalable, right? So how do we do this? I'll just give you a couple of very quick examples, right? So, we like I mentioned earlier, we are like the Google Photos of cough sounds. How do we do it? We understand the physics behind it. Every cough sound is extracted. We extract dozens of features from it from a physics standpoint. And so, even by eyeballing this, you can see that there are differences between asthma, which is an obstructive condition, and pneumonia, which is a restrictive condition. So one part of it is, how does it look on the first two charts, show how it looks on a time domain. And the third chart tells you how it looks on a frequency domain. And a very quick point here is in asthma, for example, we discover that most of the energy is concentrated in the lower frequencies, whereas in the case of pneumonia, the energy is spread well over the entire frequency range. Here's another quick thing. So we are doing a clinical assessment validation as we speak for COVID, trying to see if we can detect COVID through a cough. And this is an example of how different kinds of coughs look to us as Swasa, right? Under the hood, this is what we're doing, right? So we can see that each of these are distinctly different patterns, and so that's how we identify things. So what do? We basically call it audiometric analysis, and we use machine learning techniques to identify, what classification should be applied. And the reason it has been 5 years in the making is it's built on a mountain of data painstakingly collected over 5 years under various ethical committee approvals and annotated by pulmonologists. So that's basically what we've been doing for 5 years. So our inputs are cough sounds and a subset of St. George's Respiratory Questionnaire, and then we provide output, which is, I would say, spirometry plus, right? So that's basically what it is. So here's an illustration of how we are different, right? So traditionally you would have one assessment in, let's say, 6 months or a year, but the way we are implemented, you could be doing multiple assessments a day. Now, what's the impact of that? The real impact is not that you have a cheaper form of spirometry, but what you really have is now you have the ability to see a motion picture instead of a snapshot. And when you have that, what you're able to do is you're able to assess trends. You're able to see if certain thresholds are being breached. So this makes it a great tool to move the whole paradigm from being reactive to proactive. So instead of treating an episode, you basically try to prevent an episode. So that's really what you're after here. So we've got a host of patents and publications and awards and all that cool stuff, so which is kind of par for the course. We are already authorized for use in India as a medical device, and then we are following regulatory approvals in all these other jurisdictions as we speak. We are already HIPAA compliant, ISO 27000 certified, SOC 2 certified, and GDPR is in the works as we speak. We are also ISO 13485 certified, and we are compliant with IEC 62304, which is required for software as a medical device. So we do have, we are already out in the market. We are commercially available. We've been available for a year. Apollo was our first major customer. Currently, we just signed on a whole bunch of telehealth platforms, including MFine, and MFine actually goes live in about a week. And so we've had, all kinds of customers that we have managed to sign up. So just to summarize, right? So what are we? We are basically here to try and screen, diagnose, and monitor lung health at scale. So we start before the detection of a disease, we help diagnosis, we then monitor after that. So we do all three aspects. And we can do this remotely, and we can do this asynchronously, right? So the doctor and the patient don't need to be in the same place at the same time, right? So that's really what it is. And just one illustration of how we have taken this implementation is, we have the ability to send text messages or WhatsApp or emails or whatever to patients, and all they have to do is click on a link, and it opens up a browser window, the patient coughs into it, and they close the window, they're done, right? So we did not even want them to have the friction of having to download an app and all of those kinds of things. So we are running clinical validations, lots of them at this time. We are doing it in Andhra Medical College right here in Visakhapatnam, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Christian Medical College, Vellore. We are focused, we do not go direct to consumers. We go through hospitals, we go through telehealth providers, through the government, whatever, public health, those kinds of things. We are ready to go overseas. We are actually right now in conversation with particularly telehealth providers in Bangladesh, in Indonesia, and in Africa. So we think that's the way to go. While we are pursuing regulatory approvals in the so-called developed world, we don't believe that that's the path to take this, because their view, and we've had conversations with FDA through the QSUB process, and their view of the world is, what about the one case you're going to miss in a million? Whereas, the places that we're going to, they got nothing. So even if you're 90% accurate, they're very happy with that. So that's our approach that we're taking. And eventually, we already have 200,000 assessments completed on our platform. And eventually, when we get to a couple of million, that's when we want to go back to the FDAs of the world and say, okay, now we've got the weight of data on our side. Now let's talk. That's basically how we are looking at it. So that's our presentation in a nutshell. I hope I stuck to the 10 minutes limit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venkat, for that path-breaking innovation. And indeed, as you rightly said, dramatic or not, but every death is tragic. And what more than the last 2 years when we've seen so many unfortunate deaths due to pulmonary reasons. So now moving on, we would have our next two presenters joining us through virtually through Zoom, and I would like to take a moment to mention that we have an expert panel here who are evaluating and listening attentively to these pitches. Our panel comprises of Dr. Uma Nambiar, Managing Director, Zeden Life Sciences and Chairperson, Digital Health India Association, Mr. Vijay Simha, Advisor, Lemelson Foundation, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Dilip Kumar, Chief Executive Officer, BioValley, and Dr. Sangeeta Aditya, President, GWAS. So now we would connect our two presenters who are online, and they would join us through Zoom. Mr. Arun Agrawal, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, Janitri Innovations Private Limited.
Hi, am I audible?
Just a moment. We are just putting on you're audible, but we are just trying to get you on the screen, your video as well.
Sure. Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Arun Agrawal from Janitri Innovation. Janitri is a Bangalore-based medtech device company working on innovations to solve grassroots level problems in maternal and child healthcare. If you look at globally, there are almost 2 million newborn and 250,000 mothers are still dying while giving birth. And more than 99% of these mortality and morbidities are actually happening in developing countries like India and Africa, Southeast Asia, South Africa and all. So what is the major reason? So what's happening during this phase? Fetal distress, stillbirth, intrauterine death, these are the major causes. Fetal heart rate, contraction and maternal heart rate, these are the important parameter to get to know the status of both mother, fetus and labor progress. Actually prevent stillbirth, to prevent intrauterine death and to actually prevent fetal distress. But unfortunately, because of the poor staff versus patient ratio, unavailability of easy to use medical devices, these parameters are not really getting monitored as per the standard protocol. And hence, it leads to mortality and morbidity in case of any complication. When we have discussed or researched about the existing product in the market, which is there actually in the market since last 4 or 5 decades, which is called cardiotocography work on the Doppler and Toco principle, not much innovation has happened around it. And it's big bulky machines, both the sensor has to be placed on the abdomen of a mother on a very specific position. It is a fetus dependent, required a skilled person to operate the device, required a skilled person to interpret the graph which is coming out on a thermal paper, no intelligence, it's really not transmitting the data. And hence it's getting not scalable in these developing countries, at least because we do not have staff to take care of this machine to operate the device and to interpret the reading. And that is where we saw the gap. And hence come up with the solution, which is a combination of both hardware and software called KR and Daksh. So what we have developed is, it's a patch-based fetal heart rate, contraction and maternal heart rate monitoring device, which works on the electrical signal principle. So it is a single time patch placement, no Doppler, no Toco. It picks up fetal ECG, it picks up maternal ECG and uterine electromyography. From fetal ECG, it calculates fetal heart rate. From maternal ECG, it calculates maternal heart rate. From uterine electromyography, it calculates uterine contraction. It is a portable and wearable product, which wirelessly communicates with our mobile application for remote and central monitoring and AI-enabled fetal distress alerts. And that is the overall product which we have developed specifically for the use case where the staff nurses, midwife, doctors can actually use it in a hospital setting. Based on the market need, we brought some modularity in the product with printer, without printer, with more feature in software, and that is based on the different segment which we are targeting now. These are the few real images where the product actually is in action. The pregnant woman can move and walk. Mobility is really, really important during this labor phase, and with the existing products that are not possible, and with this that's actually possible. The doctor now can see the data remotely in their phone because they are always not in the labor ward or in the hospitals. This is just one of the example of an impact which would like to. It's one of the we have deployed this product in few PHCs in Rajasthan, and what we have seen there, the mother with the labor pain actually came down to a hospital, and the staff nurse actually started monitoring the mother with this device and application. After some time, the device and application started giving alerts for fetal heart rate abnormality, and based on that, the staff nurses and doctor took decision to refer the patient to higher health facility. And in the higher health facility, what they found is that it was actually caught around the neck when they did the C-section, and they actually saved both mother and baby. So early decision really matters a lot in this particular phase of life, because every second is a golden second, and that is kind of an impact which we want to create. Last 5-year journey was really more focused towards R&D and the clinical trials in pilot. And early this year, we have started our commercialization after done with our pre-compliance testing, CDSCO, and ISO 13485. So we are ISO 13485 company. We are a tech-focused company. We have almost 10 patents around our product. Almost 4 have already been granted. 2 trademarks we have received till date. We are actually B2B market. We're considering the hospitals one of our customers as a low-hanging fruit, and we'll be focusing further on the B2C market for the self-monitoring product. We're a strong team of 25 plus full-time team member, where the core team comes from the relevant background from hardware, software, signal processing, algorithm, public health, design, and business development. At the same time, we also have a strong medical advisory board who brings the very relevant clinical input and works in the different segment of this particular hospital setting. So this is a device because it's actually going to create a huge impact, and we got supported by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, BIRAC, Startup Karnataka, Grand Challenges Canada, IKP, and all. And we managed to bring a partnership with the prestigious organization like AIIMS Delhi, Narayana Health, AIIMS Patna, St. John's, Wish Foundation, and all. With them, we have done a lot of pilots and published a couple of papers. Would just like to play this small video.
Sharing the same sentiment, another innovation, Genethri is on a mission to improve maternal and child healthcare.
Two million newborn and 250,000 mothers are still dying while giving birth globally, and more than 99% of these events are actually occurring in developing countries. And if you look at the India's number, we have only 60,000-70,000 OBGYNs, over 3 crore deliveries per year. So you see that mismatch. So who are doing these deliveries? These are staff nurses, midwife, ashas, dais. So Janitri is a Sanskrit word of mother. We are working with a vision to see a world where no mother or baby die during pregnancy, delivery, or post-delivery. So the product KR, which is an affordable and easy to use, wearable fetal heart rate contraction and maternal heart rate monitoring device, which communicate wirelessly with our Daksh intelligent mobile application for intelligent alerts and remote and central monitoring, which helps the overall stakeholders like staff nurses, midwife, doctors, obstetrician, government in reducing the overall mortality and morbidity during labor phase.
If a lady is laboring in a peripheral area or remote rural areas, and if this machine was available, fetal and maternal surveillance both become quite easy. So the obstetrician has the advantage of even sitting at home and monitoring what's happening with the baby. With the traditional CPG, she is tied to the machine, so she cannot mobilize. Mobilization is very, very important during labor. It becomes hard for us to monitor the baby if they are in different postures. With this equipment, since it's just stuck onto the maternal abdomen, and in one place, they can be mobilizing, they can be in any posture that they want. It decentralizes the care, but centralizes the monitoring and also the decision making.
if you go to African countries or South American or India, by just having a small online training, they will be able to use it. So scalability is one thing. Number one is, and it's easy to use and it's scalable as well. And affordability is another angle because if you look at the number of hospital settings who are conducting deliveries, so it has to be that affordable per use or per device. So it should be able to use on every pregnancy. That is our vision as well.
Sharing.
So yeah, that's from Janitri. So let's innovate for saving life at birth. I would like to thank you, committee, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agrawal, for your presentation. Up next, we have our next presenter also joining us virtually via Zoom, Mr. Milind Chaudhary, Chief Executive Officer, We Innovate Biosolutions Private Limited. We can see your slide. Yes, we can see your PPT as well. So over to you. Please begin.
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for having me at this program. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. I mean, it's a big loss, but fortunately, I'm able to present. That's something really interesting. So, my name is Dr. Milind Chaudhary, and I am the founder and CEO of We Innovate Biosolutions. I myself call myself a sciencepreneur. I was a scientist turned entrepreneur, passionate in infection prevention and control, and I'm using nanotechnology to solve the problem of infections and antimicrobial resistance on a larger platform. I have developed multiple products in the past, which were also in the area of infection prevention and how things works in multiple patents granted. So infections, I think this is a word which I don't think that this word have ever used as much as we have used this word in last 2 years, and it has also become famous. But something more important than these kind of infections are hospital acquired infections, which is a pandemic in waiting. And this pandemic, if it hits, there is no option of therapy that we will have. So hospital acquired infections needs to be taken seriously. What exactly are hospital acquired infections is, if you look at statistics, there are 5% chances that you walk in the hospital and you will catch an infection from the hospital. Now this can increase your hospital stay by 17 days. More than that, causing an economical burden to the patient as well as to the hospital. If we see, there are multiple type of infections which can happen in the hospital settings also. So imagine a situation wherein you are going to a place where you want to get well and you are catching an infection and then facing the tune of the song. So if we look at hospital acquired infections, there are multiple prominent infections which are fatal as well. But if we see, the larger chunk of these infections are UTI. UTI stands for urinary tract infections, and this UTI comes from a catheter, which is a device used for assisting urination, called as catheter associated UTIs. Now, this is a leading cause of secondary healthcare associated bacteremia. Two-thirds of hospital acquired infections are UTIs, and it is the fourth common cause of healthcare infections. Besides this, there are 40% of the nosocomial infections are catheter associated UTIs. When a catheter is used in the patient, there are 3 to 7% chances that every day infection can happen. So imagine at a later stage, like 5 days or 10 days, the patient will catch some sort of infection. It can add to 10%, 10 days extra to your hospitalization in ICU settings, and it is a major 6.6% mortality in ICU cases. This is the latest statistics from ICMR. Now, how does catheter associated UTI happens? Typically, catheter is nothing but a small device which is used to assist urination for the patients who are admitted in the hospital and cannot move for urination. Now, this device stays with the patient for 3 days, starting from 2 to 3 days, up till months, and in few patients, it is then sometimes becomes a device which needs to be present the whole life of a patient. Now, what this humble device, which is used for assisting urination, does is, since it is half outside the body, half inside the body, it always carries some sort of bacteria along with the lumens inside the bladder and causes UTI. This is a very prominent problem. When we are talking 80% of these patients catches UTI, that means this is a very general problem which was underlying. Usually this problem is addressed by giving antibiotics to the patient, but these days because of the antimicrobial resistance issue, antibiotics are also not an option. Besides, antibiotic becomes an expensive affair. So what we provide is SilvoGuard. SilvoGuard is nothing but an antimicrobial Foley catheter. It's the same catheter having an attribute of killing the bacteria the moment the bacteria comes in contact with the catheter. SilvoGuard is a very superior quality catheter that we have developed. It has antimicrobial activity because of a patented nanoegicide technology, which is nothing but silver nanoparticles which are impregnated in the catheter. And this catheter remains antimicrobial throughout the life. So whenever you want to use, wherever you want to use, the catheter will always ensure that it is not the reason for spread of infections. Now, since last 40 years, this catheter has been used in surgeries and in ICUs and multiple settings, but the design has not been changed. What we did is we actually went in the field and understood the problems by which, why are the reasons, what are the reasons by which infections are spreading and why are the infections so prevalent and sometimes life-threatening. So we understood there are some design modifications which also require on the product. So along with providing the antimicrobial attribute to the product, we have also added a lot of design modifications in the product. So make it a completely superior product, which is 100% Indian made, and we are right now proud to say that we are the only people in India who can provide antimicrobial catheters. If we look at the data right now, we are just 6 months old in the market. We have done multiple studies, and what we found is we can reduce more than 87% of catheter associated UTIs in ICU settings, and there are lesser number of pathogens which are found in the ICU settings. One of the study is already published, which is done in Jipmer Pondicherry, which was done on plastic surgery patients. Usually burn patients are always prone for secondary infections that they can catch in the hospital kind of settings. There also we found that in all the patients, the urine was completely sterile and there was no bacteria found in the urine when urinary catheters were, antimicrobial catheters were used. Now, how does this catheter attributes and adds up to this antimicrobial activity? So it's because of our patented nanoegicide technology, which is nothing but silver nanoparticles. When we talk about silver nanoparticles, because of being nanoparticle, it has a larger surface to volume ratio, which ultimately releases more number of silver ions and it kills the bacteria. But it's not it. Silver itself has a very prominent antimicrobial activity through its ions, but also through the physical action. So it literally acts like a bullet. If you see here in the first panel, this is an E. coli cell, which is a completely normal cell. And the moment the silver nanoparticles comes in contact, it literally bursts open the cells and it kills the bacteria. So the product is performing and providing antimicrobial activity and reducing the UTI rates to a large extent. With this, VNovet Biosolutions mission is to actually decrease and reduce down the infections in the hospital settings to close to zero and solve the problem of antimicrobial resistance. With this, our vision is to reduce the incidences of hospital acquired infections with our technology and be a market leader in the medical devices and disposables space. The company was founded by three good friends. We did our PhDs together. Myself, I'm kind of married to silver nanoparticles since last almost 12 years. I was the part of the innovation process of the first silver nanoparticles technology in India. And back in 90s when the nanotechnology came in India, Prasad is a biotechnologist. He has extensively worked in silver nanoparticle and its application into multiple medical devices area. And Anupama is a microbiologist who brings in a lot of perspective about how we can handle the hospital acquired infections and AMR. We are very blessed to have medical advisors and top doctors who actually are there working for patients and reducing hospital acquired infections. I think these people require no introduction at all. Dr. Satish Ogle is one of the top 2% scientists of famous nanotechnologies, and we are also backed by a strong VC background. Uh, Sudhir manages one of the top 5 VC funds in India. We started in 2016 from a grant from BIRAC, which was under BIG. Then we got multiple grants from Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology. We were incubated at Venture Center in around 2018. We actually, in last 3 years of working, we actually brought in the concept of nanoegicide and developed the technology. Today, we can proudly tell that we are the only company in India who can manufacture silver nanoparticles in GMP and can have medical device based application using silver nanoparticles. In 2019, we established the concept of Silvo Guard. Uh, Happily, though, we have received funding from Cherate Ventures and Derby Foundation in around 2020 and 2021. The product is launched in the market. The product has now been inserted in more than 10,000 patients, and there has been no complaints till now. We are very happy to provide antimicrobial solutions and reduce hospital acquired infections. That's why supporting not only the patient community, physician community, but also the whole society in towards reducing the hospital acquired infections and antimicrobial resistance altogether. Thank you very much.
Please stay with us in case our panel members would have any questions to you. We have the last presentation on Introduction to Telehealth Device Registry by Mr. S. Madhava Sai from Digital Health India Association.
Presentation. Everyone, good afternoon. I'd like to keep my presentation short and simple. I know this is the last session. Okay, and we are not a product. Before that, I would like to also thank Dr. Uma ma'am, Mr. Vijay sir, and also Missy Frankfurt for giving this opportunity. And before going into the presentation, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm from Digital Health India. We are a non-profit government organization, not-for-profit government organization. We are enabling digital transformation of healthcare from India. We have members who have more than combined of more than 100 years of experience in the digital health field. So with that, I'll tell you what is Telehealth Device Registry. Before that, let me tell you the story of it. So DH India, along with its alliance partners, were trying to find out a lot of telemedicine solutions and trying to create a registry for telemedicine solutions. When they were talking to the vendors, the CEOs and the founders who were presenting the solutions, we had a lot of people. A lot of these people were asking for a lot of devices that can be connected in the telehealth, along with the telemedicine or in the telehealth ecosystem. And that gave us the inception of why not creating the, telehealth device registry per se. So that's the reason for we started, doing this. And during the process of developing this device registry, we had a lot of alliance partners join with us, and these are all the alliance partners. I'll quickly try to help you go through the methodology aspect of the devices registry that we did. So first, we invited a lot of companies who feel that they are in the space of telehealth, and then we did a little bit of secondary research about the companies, and then we also did a preliminary screening with a panel. Then we invited all these companies, and there were experts, both of national and international importance, have come together, and we did a secondary expert panel evaluation. But before doing the expert panel evaluation, we also asked all the technical panel where we tried to sit down and try to create an evaluation criteria. And trust me when I say this, it was not so simple, because these are, the regulations and all these things are not yet provided, and this registry also helps making the government regulatory bodies to strengthen their regulatory approvals as well. So that's how we came up with a maturity model called Digital Health Maturity Model for Telehealth Devices. So when we reached out, and there were around 429 registrations that has been happened all over the India with regards to telehealth devices. And as I said, among that, when we started digging down deeper and asking them a bunch of different questions and probing them, so we got around 127 companies that filled out the complete applications. And then we started doing our, we had a panel with us, and we started evaluating each and every company from these secondary set of things, and we finally screened out 83 applications. Of course, we had to remove a couple of duplications as well. And of course, we also have identified that when we have reached out the call, there was not only only the products which are available in the market, but they were ideation products. They were still in prototypes, or they were undergoing clinical trials, and they were product in markets, and they just completed their regulatory approvals, and they were ready to launch in the market as well. So then we when we identified that these are 83, so then we again had a small panel. We sat with them, and we, based on the theme that we decided was remote monitoring, remote evaluation, remote diagnostics, remote interventions, and remote analytics. Based on considering this theme, we again made this 83 companies into 59 companies. And among these 59 companies, 10 companies has actually withdrawn from their application because of, I guess, the strenuous exercise that we were trying to do. But 49 companies did participate in our expert panel evaluation. And for some reasons, I'm not able to show the expert panel evaluation as of now, but it will be soon out. Our evaluation panel consists of following members. We have Admiral V.K. Singh sir, Vijay Simha sir, Dr. Uma ma'am, and Dilip sir. And we have Sushanto Mitra and Professor Lakshmi T. Rao, Dr. Ruchi Das, Professor Akshay Srivastava, and Mr. Kingshuk Podar, Pramod Jacob, and Colonel Satyendra Verma, and Professor Venkatraman. And as a part of, and you should understand that this device registry was not done overnight. This was close to 8 to 10 months of hard work that was going on. And during this hard work, we also conducted a lot of information educational activities. These are the list of webinars that has been conducted for all the companies, and as well as the stakeholders that are involved with the DH India as a part of these things. And so our registry is also going to be up and live so soon. We just thought that we will introduce it to you at this MedTech Innovation Forum. Thank you so much, guys.
With this, we have concluded the presentation by the young entrepreneurs. I would request our expert panel to be helped with hand mics, and if they have any questions to any of our young entrepreneurs based on the presentations they just made. I hope our participants, our young entrepreneurs who joined us virtually through Zoom are also with us. Yeah, so yes, I can see Mr. Milan Chaudhary is there, and I hope Mr. Agrawal is also there. Yes, thank you. So yes, so the question is, so by Dr. Sangeeta Aditya, who's seated among the audience, so maybe our virtual entrepreneurs may not see her, but you could hear her.
So I'm grateful and honored to judge these innovative products, and thank you everyone for participating in this occasion. So I'll go one by one, because there are all different kinds of products it has been presented here. One is for the business development raw materials of the products of molecular devices, medtech devices. One is application and app based. One is already a ready product. And so there are all, and one is digital health, this is a service. So this doesn't come under same category. It would be very difficult for the judging panel as well to differentiate and judge which product should move forward. It should be for the scale up, or it should be for the supporting our products. But it was all wonderful because Janitri is quite famous. I know they have won lots of awards and winners. So please do not mind if we do not choose you, because you are already been encouraged by lots of other authorities, but definitely other judging panel, because we have wholehearted support to you, because as a female, we always give importance to the mother and child healthcare products. So I would also like to ask the Swasa, their product, so how far they are? Have they tested any COVID patients? Because during this pandemic, we all lots of significance in that pulmonary effects and the death and mortality rate. So have you tested your product on the COVID patients?
Obviously, since we are a medical device, every claim that we make has to be backed by validation. So we did one initial validation here at Andhra Medical College, and we have, based on our small sample, the accuracies are very, very high. But we also tested our model against publicly available data sets from Cambridge University and EPFL. There we are performing first pass between 85 to 90% accuracy.
That's brilliant. And do you have anything like Data Protection Act and how you're accessing the data and stuff? Because I believe it's a cloud-based app.
Correct. So as you're all aware, at this point in India, we still don't have the Data Protection and Privacy Act. So we just decided to adopt some international standards. So we are HIPAA compliant, we are SOC 2 compliant, and from data protection standpoint, from a security standpoint, we are also ISO 27001 certified.
That's brilliant, thank you. And another question I would like to ask Janitri, what's the cost of their product when any of our Indian population, they want to buy directly? Is it a B2C or it's only the B2B and the hospital?
At this point of time, it is only a B2B. So we are selling this to the hospitals who are into maternity care or doing delivery. But we actually have started one service, which is actually a B2B2C service, where if a OBGYN is recommending a test called NST test, which is called non-stress test, which is nothing but a 30-minute monitoring of fetal heart rate and fetal movement in the last phase of the pregnancy for high-risk patient, then one of our professional, either our professional, and we also have collaborated with Potia or their professional, go home, perform this 30-minute test, reports get generated, and the doctor for the all further decision making.
So anything related to the cost? Have you decided the cost? What's your selling price to the customers?
For the
product?
For the hospitals?
Yes, for the hospitals or the clients.
Yeah, for the hospitals, we have three variant, which is varying from around 60-70,000 rupees going up to 1.5 lakh rupees.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have said that your software is compliant to, IC 62304. So do you have the body which certified this? Can I know?
Yeah, so we are certified. So IEC 62304 is only a compliance. It's not a certification. Mm-hmm. But we are obviously certified for ISO 13485, and we were certified by BSI.
BSI? Okay. So both of them is certified by BSI?
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. And it's already in the market, right? Okay. And what is the approximate pricing of this?
That's a trade secret.
Is it?
No, but I'll tell you. So
in the market, right?
Yeah, so our intention is actually to be able to, so as a placeholder, we put $1 or whatever, but our intention is, because we want to operate in the less developed markets, our target is to be able to deliver it at less than a rupee assessment, right? Okay. As opposed to the 500 or 1500 rupees. So that's the whole point. And it can be even lower in the sense that, especially in a monitoring context where you want to do multiple assessments and so on and so forth, So then we want to just turn it into a subscription model, right? So where we don't count assessments, you get unlimited usage. So that's really, I mean, the cost side of it, the unit economics don't matter. The software is built, yeah, we can keep building enhancements, but there's no cost really.
That's interesting, you know. And what about that? You were saying it does the lung assessment, right? And what parameters it, detects and gives the result?
So
Apart from COVID, you are mentioning about other parameters.
correct, yeah. So basically, think of it as digital spirometry. So if you take a look at what spirometry, what inferences a physician ultimately draws from all the graphs and charts of a spirometry, they're essentially, are these lungs normal or not? If they're not normal, what sort of pattern are you seeing? Is it obstructive, restrictive, mixed, so on and so forth? And what is the level of severity? So at a very basic level, that's what you would get. And of course, beyond that, you get a whole host of numbers which physicians relate to. At this point, we don't give the numbers, but we have a clinical validation underway in CMC Vellore, which concludes end of March. After that, we'll be able to provide the spirometry values, not all of them, but some of the important ones. And going a step ahead, we also have about 10 diseases that we are able to predict the presence or absence. And if the disease is present, then we are able to provide a probability scale, which we kind of just make it 1 to 10 just to make it simple. So that's what we do.
That's interesting. All the best wishes for that clinical validation,
Thank you.
Yeah. Next one, I want to go with Arun Agarwal from Jayatri. Are you
Yes,
there?
sir.
Yeah. So your device is compliant to any standards, Indian standards or international standards?
Yes, sir. So if we look at the Indian Medical Device Regulatory Body, CDSCO,
Yeah.
so this device still doesn't come under the notified list. And hence we have received an NOC from CDSCO, that is one. In terms of process regulation, as a medical device company, we have gone through ISO 13485. So now Janitri is an ISO 13485 company. And the next step for us is the C certification, which is what's more safety, and it will eventually open up the other market for us.
Yeah. So if you see the MDR 2000 rules, it says that if any Indian standards are available, you have to comply with the Indian standards. If not available, then any ISO or IEC standards and ASTM standards. That's what the notification says. So any plans to comply with, the standards? Because before placing or going to for the CE marking, these are the prerequisite requirements. You have to comply with the standards.
So yeah, we are done with the ISO 13485 2016.
Yeah, ISO 13485 is a quality management system, certification. But as a product standard, do you think of anything?
As a product, we are done with the pre-compliance testing, IEC standard, which we have followed, whatever is applicable for our product, IEC.
Okay, it's already done, IEC.
It's already done.
60601-1, which
Right,
is
1-1, 1-2 also, and there are a couple of other which were validated, and we are done with it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. That's it from my end.
Thank you.
Product for, I believe it could be useful for irrespective of genders.
Yes.
Isn't it? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And it is a product, you said like it can detect the bacterial infection, and where you mentioned like E. coli. Is this only for E. coli or any other bacterial infection as well?
So basically silver is broad spectrum antimicrobial agent. So it will kill gram positive, gram negative viruses, fungi. In fact, it also kills the resistant species like MRSA, VRSA. So that's where we stand. It's not like an antibiotic that it will work on a very specific group of bacteria. It will work on all the type of bacteria along with bacteria, viruses and fungi.
Okay, so it doesn't mean only E. coli, so it's viruses, fungi, and other infections as well.
Absolutely.
So is there any claim for that? Which are the species or which are the microbial infections would be there?
Yes, so we have done extensive study on around more than 25 different type of bacteria including clinical specimens. Now we have a lot of clinical data also backing us. Along with this, we have done antiviral studies. One of the toughest virus to kill is murine norovirus. We have seen more than 98% reduction on murine norovirus. We have seen more than 99% reduction in SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is the coronavirus, and a lot of Candida species, because Candida is one of prominent fungal infection in the urinary tract. So it kills those microbial resistant fungi as well.
So how did you treat? Like, how do you detect the bacterial? Because it's a catheter. Can you detect at the time of placing the catheter?
So we do not detect the bacteria in the urine. Basically, it just protects. So it's more of a preventive kind of thing than detecting. So it would not allow the infection. But besides that, when we do the testing, once the urine, so typically how it is checked is the urine is taken before the catheterization, and post catheterization urine is taken, and then it is seen for if there is any presence of bacteria or not. What we are trying to do now is we are trying to add a couple of an addition to the catheter, which is going to be a sensor which will also tell you if there is bacteria present or not, along with the typical urine parameters like pH, temperature, and all those things. So with that, you will be able to come to know whether the UTI is happening, whether it is in early phase, it is not happening, or is there kind of any other kind of issues inside the patient which can be detected on the urine basis.
That would be a brilliant addition. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let me congratulate all the speakers and Ajoy for having anyway done such a wonderful job in your company, and you've been, I think, there in 3 decades. So wish you a very successful journey. But for all the entrepreneurs that are part of the whole evaluation work that is done, let me tell you that I have no questions. You guys have heard enough of questions from me in all these evaluation cycles, and you can do with one less. Just to make everybody aware that we started this program because at a time when pandemic struck, a lot of organizations, which are mainly physician bodies like CAHO and other associations, they made a request to us saying that we are completely lost. Every day a new vendor comes and tells me that we have this and this will answer all your queries and all your problems, and they don't know what to choose from. And each day they find something better than the other. And they wanted some people to come together and help people to decide. And that was the reason why the Registry for Telemedicine Solutions was started. And when we started that, the solution provider said, hey, look, you know what? I want to have a digital stethoscope attached to it. Can you tell us where to get one from? And then we found that we are again searching, and that's how the registration for devices was born. We are hoping that we will be able to grow this. It's a completely voluntary effort from our side. None of us, all the high-profile jury members that have decided to help us, it was completely in the national interest for making sure that the people who are making these devices and solutions, they have a roadmap on what the industry wants, so they can make the right product. And the healthcare providers really know where to go and get what is the needed product for them, rather than really being confused. So that was the intent, and we just wanted to introduce, and I congratulate all the people who presented. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Uma, for your kind words. So, with this, we come to the end of this session. I would like our esteemed panel of experts to please come one by one and felicitate one each of our presenters here with a small token of appreciation. I first request Dr. Uma to kindly come up and do the honors and present a trophy to Mr. Ajoy Joseph. Round of applause, please. Thank you very much, Dr. Uma, for doing the honors. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. I now request I request Dr. Sangeeta Aditya to come up and present a trophy to, um, to our other presenter, which is Mr. Venkat Yechuri. Thank you very much, both of you. And I request Mr. Dilip Kumar, Chief Executive Officer, BioValley, to please come up and felicitate Mr. S. Madhavasai, Digital Health India Association. Round of applause, please. Thank you. I am informed that Dr. Jitendra Sharma will to give the concluding remarks. And yes, he's here with us just in time. So I request Dr. Jitendra Sharma. We just concluded with the session, sir, and we were waiting for you to come and deliver the concluding remarks.
While he makes his way, I just want to separate myself from the rest of the people. Yeah, while Mr. Sharma makes his way over here, I want to separate myself from the rest of the group. I'm not young.
Well, that was interesting. So thank you once again, our young entrepreneurs, for presenting those cutting edge ideas and the really innovative technologies that you have here to present. And thank you, our panel of experts, to have also given your valuable feedback on those. I just have a brief presentation to make before I hand over to Dr. Sharma. So here I would like to mention that we at Messe Frankfurt are the organizers of the event called Clean Zone, which is held in our headquarters in Frankfurt. So Clean Zone is the international trade fair for clean room and cleanliness technology, hygiene and contamination control. This is a business-to-business trade fair which displays the best and innovative technologies all over the world in the area of clean zone or clean room, which also has application in medical device manufacturing. So here are some of the slides which are there from the clean zone product scope. It has the scope of product range which is displayed at this B2B trade fair includes things from construction component, doors, systems, monitoring, interlock system controls, air shower, RABS, which is restricted access barrier systems, fumigation gas injection, hand cleaners, disinfectation systems, apparel and supplies, consumables, cleaning, pure media, ultra pure water and other liquids, gases, decontamination, measuring systems, particle counters, microbiology, technical systems and components, exhaust systems and supply air systems, filtration systems, microenvironments, services, consulting, technical advices. For more details, we would be sharing with you, along with the other presentations, in the coming week, the website to our event, and we look forward to your visit to this trade fair in its next edition. This is the target group or the visitors who visit Clean Zone. And these are the various industries, the sectors, or the vertical markets for the clean room technologies who visit our trade fair, which is Clean Zone. So it has pharmaceutical, biotechnology, chemical, healthcare, food technology, automotive, surface plus polymer technology, microelectronics, optics, and aerospace. These would be the themes of the upcoming Clean Zone trade fair edition. It would be also having the theme of living in the pandemic. These are some of the countries from whom we have the trade visitors in our trade fair clean zone. And some of the exhibitors. I'm sure some of those of you who are from the manufacturing side would be well aware of some of these names. So I would not take much time, and we look forward to your participation also in this event of ours. And now I request Dr. Sharma to please come up and deliver the valedictory address